we are going into the next topic, which is the top 5 albums. Now, this is my personal favorite category right here, basically, because this one was easy for me. Now, what I will say is this before I get into the top 5 of albums. There were a lot of good hip-hop albums this year, man. Like, I could name maybe, like, a good 10 that I could probably play at least one time and be like, yeah, that was pretty decent, that was pretty solid. And there's a few more that I can listen to, like, ad nauseum, basically. So I like how, and I know you have a hot take in a second, but before I let you get to your hot take, I find it funny that a lot of people say, oh, hip-hop's dying, et cetera, but there are a lot of artists who put out some pretty decent content this year, and you can't really give me that argument of hip-hop is dying when I heard 10 solid projects, whether it be from mainstream acts or quote-unquote underground acts. Now, before I go into my top 5, you were itching to have a hot take, so I'm curious to know what it is.
No, I was actually going to add on to what you said. Like, I agree with you. There were a lot of good albums this year.
Yeah.
But there was one great album.
Oh, yeah,
one album to the point where that, and again, this is just me just preempting my list.
Yeah.
That one great album made my list the hardest list I've ever made in my probably in years.
Okay.
Because everything else just does not compare. So
right.
Whenever you want to run it, you can go.
All right, fair enough. I have a good idea of what our number ones are gonna be anyway, so it's not gonna be that climatic. But nonetheless, we still have a show to do, ladies and gents. So I'm gonna get to it. So at number 5 for top 5 albums of the year, I went with The Chief from Jidenna. Number 4, I went with No Dope on Sundays from Sci-Hi the Prince. Number 3, I went with Forever is a Mighty Long Time from Big Crit. Number 2, 444, Jay-Z. And number 1, Damn from Kendrick. Marcus, your top 5, please.
All right, so I'm actually going to change my list. My new number 5 is going to be 444 by Jay-Z.
Number 5? Oh, shit. Okay. Go on.
For those who know me, this is going to be controversial, but my number 4, Migos, Culture.
Okay. All right.
My number 3, it's a very personal one, Cream Riggins, Head Nod Sweet.
Okay.
What Up, Doe, Detroit. And then number 2, there's no way that this was ever, like, I'm surprised I didn't make this number 1.
Okay.
Just being who I am.
All right.
But my number 2 is The Saga Continues.
Oh, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang.
Okay.
And then my number 1, Damn.
All right.
Damn is number 1.
Okay. You had Jay at number 5.
Okay.
Please elaborate on that. I'm curious.
So if it's anything, Jay's number 5 because he got bumped. So...
Like, he got bumped down from, like, a higher spot?
Exactly.
Okay.
So...
But before you expand upon that, what spot was he at originally?
So he would have been number 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
So, let me put it this way. He would have been number 3, and then Drake's More Life would have been within the top 5. Migos Culture was the one I added to kind of rejig my entire list.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why, kind of like we're saying about Cardi B, I could not run away from that Migos album. The point where, like, I listen to that album more regularly than I expect I'm kind of shocked.
Right.
Like, it's I hate the term guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
But it's become that. Well, I mean, to me, there's no guilty pleasures. I like music, so there's no guilt into it.
Right.
But that album, I listened to it, like, Bad and Bougie. I'm like, okay. Even the fact that DJ Khaled, you guys ain't saying Migos about the culture. It's about the, like, I was like, okay, maybe they are about the culture. Like, I don't. To me, I think, again, the pop impact or social impact that album had, there's no way I could not have it in my top 5.
Right.
So that's when I rejigged the list and bumped Jay-Z down to number 5.
Okay, interesting.
I'll throw one more thing, the Cream Riggins album.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to school out in the Windsor, Detroit area. So my favorite rapper, my favorite producer, my spirit animal, Jay Dilla.
Okay. Oh, of course.
So Donuts is one of my favorite albums, and that was a straight instrumental album.
Right.
I totally forgot about the Cream Riggins album because that's just, again, another straight instrumental album, very much like Donuts, and it's really good.
Right.
And it made me realize, okay, that whole art form of instrumental, like, the producer's a big part. The producer, the DJ is a big part of hip-hop culture. Mm-hmm. Especially now that it's gone beyond just the mere sampling. You got guys writing their own music, creating instrumentation, everything. Mm-hmm. So that's why I just had to put that in my top 5.
Right.
And then it just worked its way to number 3.
Right, fair enough. I'll say this. I did not include Migos in my top 5 simply because of the fact that I didn't listen to the album. That's the only reason why. Had I done it, I don't know if it would have been in there, but I chose not to just because they're not really my cup of tea, basically. But I would throw them in the guilty pleasure aisle anytime Bad and Bougie comes out. Mm-hmm. I feel like I only jumped on that record because Childish Gambino endorsed it, and I'm a Gambino fan. So I listened to it. I'm like, okay, I can understand why people like this, and then it just caught wildfire, basically.
So sorry, you say you didn't listen to the album?
I did not listen to the album.
So I'll give you a reason to listen to the album.
Okay, why?
So 2 Chainz came up with his album. Girls Like
Trap Music,
right?
Yeah.
So I listened to that album like probably back in June, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was 30 tracks, and I was like,
30.
I love 2 Chainz.
Yeah.
Like I love him, but even that album was kind of like, yo, I have to like take a step back.
Yeah, 30. Holy cow, that's a double album basically.
And again, it's because I don't know if it's the genre or whatever it may be. So love 2 Chainz, couldn't make it through. Mm-hmm. Migos, it's the same type of album, but it bangs from the beginning to the end.
Right.
Like literally, it is even like everything they talk about is just kind of like, okay, really? Are they saying this, saying that?
Yeah.
This is trap music. But at the end, it actually flows. So if you do get a chance, listen to that album, you'd be surprised how good that album is.
All right, because I've been trying to like understand the hype behind Migos, basically, right? And I'm just like, everyone keeps saying, I think everyone keeps saying Quavo is the one who may go solo after a while, whatever. And it's just like, I don't notice the difference between the 3 members. So it's just like, why does this guy stand out above the rest? You know what I mean? That may be a hot take for Migos fans and everything. So
I agree with you. I don't know why.
Yeah, like don't shoot me down in the comment section or whatever. But like, I'm just saying, like, I don't understand the hype behind. Well, I understand the hype behind Migos, but I don't understand the hype behind I think Quavo in particular, because everyone keeps saying that this is the guy that's going to go solo if anything happens, whatever. I don't see what the appeal is. Maybe his image, whatever, but then again, they all kind of have the same aesthetic style, so to speak. So I'm just trying to figure out what everyone is on that I'm not on. Like, it's almost like with Chance the Rapper, for example. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Chance the Rapper. I don't want to say he's overrated. I don't want to say that, but I kind of feel like his fans boost him to like a profile like a Kendrick Lamar or whatever. Like, I respect the person that Chance the Rapper is, but as far as his lyrical game, it doesn't hold a candle to Kendrick in my opinion. It doesn't even hold a candle to J. Cole in my opinion. I feel like Logic is a better rapper than Chance the Rapper. But I just like his content is cool and I like his infectious energy. But as far as his lyrical ability, he's not giving me chills. He's not giving me that wow factor that I really wanted to get. So I'm just like, yeah. So I kind of feel somewhat of a way with the Migos when it comes to like trying to figure out the understanding behind the hype of certain members of the group in particular. So that's just where I'm coming from.
But I think that's what it is. Like, to be honest, if you showed me a picture of Migos, I wouldn't know who they are.
Yeah.
In fact, before I even listened to the album, I thought Migos was one person.
Fair enough.
So at the end of the day, I mean, I think what it is that it's as an album, it just has something that just attracts you. It's infectious.
Yeah.
You don't really know anything about them. You probably don't really care about them. It's just if you listen to that album, there's no way you at one point you're not bobbing your head and you're not
right.
Maybe it's a different type of trap music. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know is that album does bang.
Fair enough. I might check it out. I might check it out. Because there's a lot of albums that came out this year, and I really wanted to put a few of them in my top 5. Like, I was struggling, for example, with that Joey Badass album as far as putting it in my top 5, the All-American Badass, I think it was called. I really wanted that to be in my top 5. I really did. But it just didn't make it. That, if anything, it's my honorable mention. The Saga Continues was wicked. I loved it. It's good old-fashioned Wu-Tang. Method Man had a resurgence on that album. I don't know who lit a fire under his ass, but he was ripping every single verse he was on. The man said lines like, I'm nutted with the bars. That's a payday. I'm like, get the hell out of here. Yo, this is in 1994. Why are you lit right now, man? You're crazy. You're killing me, Meth. There's this dope verses all around from Meth. There's some weak verses on there from like other members of the Wu, but I just feel like Meth's energy and just like his ability to take over certain records is what grabbed me altogether. And it just felt like old school Wu-Tang in the terms of, sticking to their origin story, so to speak, to their source material, I should say, like sticking to the comic book references, the kung fu references. Like any old school Wu-Tang aficionado wants to hear that out of a Wu album, basically. So I'm kind of sad I didn't put that in my top 5 just because it didn't grab me as much as the other albums did. in regards to why I chose certain artists, what have you, I went with Jadena at number 5 with the Chief.
Yes.
That album was so underlooked, man. It was so underlooked, and I feel like the only issue was that when Classic Man came out, we didn't hear too much from him as far as his own material. Maybe he was on features here and there, but I think the hype kind of died down, and then he just kind of pushed out his album, and that was it. But I just love the fact that he blended traditional hip hop with new age hip hop, with some Afro beats in there as well to speak to his Nigerian heritage. And his vocals, like, this guy can sing, man. Like, when I hear him sing, he reminds me of a reggae artist. Like, he reminds me of a Bob Marley. He has that raspy tone to it, and it sounds so soulful. And I just feel like the whole Classic Man, aesthetic bleeds well into his music as well. Like, if I had to compare him to anyone, like, to me, he's almost like Andre 3000 meets Wyclef Jean with a dash of Kanye West 04. Like, I think people should really look out for this guy. Like, he's disgustingly underrated right now, in my opinion. I feel like he can bridge that gap between American hip-hop and then African music, basically. He can bring those two together, in my opinion. He could be that next international crossover star. He could be like a K9 or a Wyclef, like, if the cards play in his favor. That's my personal opinion on him.
Right.
Who else I go with? I went with... Oh, I gotta talk about this guy right here, man. So, Sci-Hi the Prince, No Dope on Sundays. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but this was a sleeper album. Mind you, it's only been out for, like, not even a month. It's only been out maybe beginning of December, maybe.
Right.
But it just grabbed me automatically. Because I've been following Sci-Hi ever since 2011 when he was on the freshman cover.
Yeah.
I heard the freestyle that he did for the BET Cyphers, and then his verse on Kanye's My Beautiful Duchess of Fantasy, and then I heard his mixtape series, The Royal Flush. Up until this point, I think my favorite project from him is Black History Project. Excellent mixtape. That should have been an album, in my opinion. It was a dope concept album. But this guy, he's witty with the wordplay. He has content. He has this charisma and charm about him that's very infectious. To me, he's the perfect package of what our rapper should be. In terms of the aesthetics, that's purely subjective, in my opinion. But he's a Southern rapper in terms of where he's from. Regionally, he doesn't have that same Southern drawl, but he can rap over Southern beats, basically. And that's another thing about it. He's very versatile, and he shows that on this album. And he mixes a lot of religious themes with a lot of what people go on with society today. And one record you need to hear is a record called New Africa. If you haven't heard that record, that's one record I surely recommend on that album. And that's a record that I would personally petition to have on the original soundtrack for Black Panther. I'm just saying. What else I got, man? Who else I got? I gotta talk about this, man. This will be the last album I touch upon because the next two are self-explanatory. But Forever is a Mighty Long Time from Big Crit. Listen, this guy put out the most soulful album of 2017. I don't care what anyone says. This album has so much soul. I caught the Holy Ghost every single time I hit a record. Like, it was crazy.
So much soul?
He's got soul, man. He's got soul. James Brown is envious of him. That's how much soul he got. Like, Big Crit I've been following again since 2011, since I saw that freshman cover. And he's been grossly underrated. Like, to me, he embodies the South. I've been kind of prejudiced towards some of the artists because they have that drawl to them. They just talk about the same stuff over and over again, just very derivative and what have you, but he mixes it up. He'll give you that ratchet, but then he'll give you that righteous as well. He can sing on records as well. I can listen to him sing through a whole track if I wanted to. And, like, to me, he just embodies, like, the traditional South. So he reminds you of an Outkast, of a UGK, of 3 6 Mafia. A very sample-heavy type of artist, and he produces his own tracks, too. So he just knows the sound, and he caters to it, and he did that on this album. And what I loved about this album is that the fact that it was a double album. On one side of the album, he talked about Big Crit as in the artist. On the other side of the album, he talked about Justin Scott, the man behind the artist. So what Justin Scott had to go through as a person to make this project. What Big Crit had to go through to kind of maybe at times feel as though he may be compromising his artistic integrity. He brought all that together, and it took about 3 years in between projects for this to drop, and he had to go through like a lot of label situations and what have you. So because of that, I understood why it took so long for this album to come out, and what I got out of it, totally pleased with it. Easily in my top 5, easily. And then rounding out 444 and Damn for obvious reasons.
So going back to my rounding out, the Wu-Tang album.
Yeah.
Two things okay, first of all, what you just said about the whole like Meth Going Off, and it was just kind of like it was like a classic Wu-Tang album.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably one of the top 5 biggest Wu-Tang fans in the world.
Sure.
Like, and that's not even a joke. Like, challenge me.
No, I believe you.
I got a Wu-Tang dollar bill.
Nice.
Like straight. But basically, I think a big part. I remember when I heard the intro.
Yeah.
I had to actually pause in the middle of the intro because I was like, I couldn't deal with this anymore.
Right.
It just brought me back.
It brought you back.
First time I heard 36 Chambers.
Nostalgia's one hell of a drug, I tell you.
Yes, and then I think another thing I want to point out about it that really caught my attention. RZA didn't produce any of the tracks.
Yeah, it's mathematics.
All mathematics. RZA did the executive production, but it was all mathematics.
Yeah.
And that to me, in the past, has been kind of like what kind of scares me off because I'm a big RZA fan.
Yeah.
Again, JD and the RZA. Those are my spirit animals.
Right.
So when I saw that and I listened to the album, I was like, okay, this is different. So that's why I put it as my number 2. Because it was just kind of bring me back to an old sound that I grew up on.
Yeah.
And actually I based a lot of my work on. Like,
Right.
a lot of my stuff I do is based on Wu-Tang thoughts, as I call them.
Yeah.
So,
No, that was a dope album. I loved every single minute of that album. Like, it was crazy, man. Like, it wasn't their best album, of course. Like, I don't think anything is gonna top 36 Chambers just because it was so raw, so different.
Never.
Maybe Wu-Tang Forever may be the closest thing, but beyond that, I would say 36 Chambers will be their best album. They're more than willing to prove me wrong, and I'm here for it. But like, I think that's going to be the standard bearer, as with many first projects, just because it's nothing that we had ever heard before at that time. Basically, it just kind of transcends beyond time at that point.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a dope album right there, man. And then let me touch on Jay real quick as far as 444 goes, because I would be doing a disservice to people if I didn't, man. And I'll try not to be too long on this, but when it comes to 444. Jay finally gave me the album I've been waiting for from Jay for a very, very long time. My biggest complaint and criticism of Jay-Z is that he always had this too cool for school persona. Like, he would never tear down his walls. Like, he would never allow himself to be vulnerable for more than 10 minutes. Every now and again, we get a little nugget like Song Cry, or This Can't Be Life, or Lost Ones. Like, just a little bit every now and again, just a little dash. But I wanted more. I want vulnerability. I wanted his skin to be penetrable. Just take off that Luke Cage facade that you have going on. I want to talk to Sean Carter, the person, not the businessman. I want to talk about Sean Carter, the person. What are you feeling right now? And he got me with that. He talked about how he felt like shit when he cheated on Beyonce. When he looked at himself in the mirror and asked himself, how can he be a positive influence in his daughter's life? Both his daughters. He talked about his mother being a lesbian because of all the tribulations that she went through with her former husbands and boyfriends, what have you. He talked about, story of OJ. We already went in depth with that. He talked about, the struggles of his community within Marcy Me, basically. Yeah. He let his soul out there, and like, he wasn't even trying to chase radio this time. He was like, screw it. I'm Jay-Z. I've created an empire, a dynasty. My name is already etched in stone. I'm going to be one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time, if not the greatest. And I've also made landmarks in music in the industry as a whole. And he just said, screw it. I'm putting this out there. I'm not going to even put anything too extra into the album cover. He gave some dope visuals as far as the music video goes, and used his Rolodex of contacts to like get some of the hottest actors to play certain characters in his videos as well. He just let it out, man. He just said, screw it. I don't care.
Even though I had it in my top 5, I would not consider it one of my top 5 Jay-Z albums.
That's fair.
Even though everything he did on his albums, everything I believe a person should do in all their work.
Yeah.
But with Jay-Z, I think I hold him at a statue where, like, Jay-Z gave me the album I wanted when he did the Black Album.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, to me, that album is still one of his top albums.
Yeah.
Hell, he gave me...
That's the top 5 in my category for Jay. I put that at number 3, if anything.
He gave me the album I wanted when he did Reasonable Doubts.
Yeah.
Reasonable Doubts is probably still... Actually, I have this argument all the time.
Right.
It might be my favorite Jay-Z album just because that to me was the most... I think he was more raw then than he is now. Because when he wrote that album, he was still selling drugs.
Yeah, he was still selling drugs. He still had the Fushnicken sound in his delivery. So, yeah, he was still pretty raw at that point.
But what I think I like about this album that kind of trumps all that is the fact that he in his 40s.
Yeah.
He's an old man. He's a grown man.
Yeah, in hip hop years, he's an old man.
Yeah, so, and the fact that he's almost kind of like, screw it. I'm just going to just tell you my life the way that is. I don't sling bags of dope anymore. I sling diapers.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that is kind of what made it a top 5 album for me. Not necessarily for the production, not necessarily for his lyrical flow, but I think just the feeling that he gave.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with you, and all that.
Right. And then, just to touch on Damn as well. I mean...
I can go off.
I mean, trust me, I could go off too, man, but first of all, Damn. I mean, he gave us 2 albums in one, basically. We have to take into consideration that this album came out in April of this year.
Yes.
Okay? We didn't know about this album coming out until 2 weeks prior, or a week prior, I can't remember what the timeline was, when he dropped The Heart Part 4, and then just threw subliminal shade, allegedly at Big Sean and Drake and you name it, right? And that alone got us hyped for what was to come. And then he dropped the Humble single, and then eventually he dropped Damn on Easter. And then every blogger in the blogosphere was writing out think pieces about what may be next to come. Is he going to be dropping a sequel to Damn within the next 3 days to coincide with Easter weekend, right?
Resurrection.
Exactly, yeah. So he had us thinking that the entire time. And obviously it didn't come out, but technically it kind of did when you realize that when you listen to Damn backwards, it's another album, basically.
Yes, the album is a totally different story if you play it in reverse.
Yes.
Which was released as a special edition, and that's just nuts that it was written that way.
Yeah.
Another thing about Damn is that it did not only, as an album, chart the billboards. All 14 songs individually entered the charts.
They did, yeah. They all entered the charts at the Billboard Top 100.
Yeah, that is
That's insane.
Damn is not just a great hip hop album 2017.
It's a great album overall.
I think it's one of the best hip hop albums ever written.
I agree. This, to me, is another classic from Kendrick. And I have this debate with people a lot. As far as albums go, he's never had a bad album. He's never had an okay album. He's had at least good albums, at the very least. As far as what I would determine classics in his catalog, I would determine, instant classics. Good Kid, Mad City was an instant classic, in my opinion. Yeah. And I feel like Damn is an instant classic, in my opinion. I feel like To Pimp a Butterfly was very divisive, but I feel like it's the type of album that, give it 10 years' time, it'll be regarded as a classic. Similar into the same vein as It Was Written. I feel like when that album came out, it was very divisive because people want that old school raw sound, but they got a more commercial sound. But as time went on, people began to realize the intricate stories that Nas was telling on the album and declared it a classic after that. So I feel like that has the same potential. And then to me, when it comes to Section 80, that's more like a cult classic in my opinion. Yeah. So if you were a Kendrick Lamar fan, back when he was solely with TDE, never mind Aftermath or any of the major label stuff, if you're a hardcore Kendrick fan from that region or what have you, you're gonna see that as a classic as well. So I feel like that's a cult classic in my opinion. I don't think the rest of the hip hop world may see that as a classic, but then again, it was regarded as one of, if not the best album of 2011 when hip hop is concerned. So that's for a time to tell, I would say. Yeah. And then I would say, what was the album? Untitled. That was more like a B-side album, so it's kind of like the lost tapes from Nas. So I don't really count that as part of the official discography because it's just albums that never really made it, basically, or songs that never really made it, rather. Yeah.
Don't forget Good Kid, Mad City. I don't think you mentioned that.
No, I mentioned that.
Okay, sorry.
That was the first one. Yeah.
My thought with this as well, with Damn, all those other albums, exactly what you said. They have these things to them. Damn just kind of literally made you say, damn.
They really
not
did.
Only from Kendrick's point of view, I think one of the things that's constantly overlooked about an album is the production.
Yeah.
He had U2 on a song.
That was crazy. Triple X was a crazy record.
Alchemist produced Fear.
Oh, did he?
That's an Alchemist beat.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Ninth Wonder.
Oh, he got that Duckworth. Yo, when I heard the beat, I'm like, yo, this is Ninth. I know those drum loops. I know that bounce and that kick that he has. This is Ninth Wonder.
The beat change.
Oh, man.
My nephew, I remember when that came out, my nephew, he was just like, dude, those beat changes and Duckworth. Shout out to Andre in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yo, you're right. Those beat changes. It's on a whole different level.
Speaking of which, this is one video I saw on Facebook, actually. I think I tagged you in it a long time ago. But there's this guy, he's listening to Duckworth and the Whipper, just banging. Big dude, just banging to it. And then it changes. He's just like, ooh! He starts just going off of the car, and then it changes another time. And then he's just like, ow! And then he just gets out the car. He's just like, yo! And then just banging it, like just dancing outside in the parking lot. Comes back in, the beat changes, and it changes back to the original beat. And he's just having like an aneurysm in the car. It's like, ow! Ow! Like having a heart attack or something. It's crazy. But nah, like that beat was crazy. The biggest thing for me, of course, was just amidst all like the emotional moods that he went through on that album, just the fact that at the end of the album, if you listen to it concisely from start to finish, and you realize the entire time that when you listen to it from front to back, he's telling the story of what his life had become up to this point as an MC, and at the very end of that story, at the very end of the album, that is a story of him taking the path to where he's at right now. Had he become a rapper, because had he not become a rapper, as he said at the end of the album, he would have been another black boy dead in America. But then when you listen to that song from the start, you know, like as a beginning track, and then go backwards, you realize that song is basically a foreshadow. It's a foreshadow technique.
Yeah.
And this is why I appreciate about Kendrick so much. His mind is so cinematic. Like when he approaches albums like movies, basically. The pacing of it, the use of exposition within the songs, the proper use of skits and what have you. He's a special mind in hip-hop, man. And I'm not afraid to say this right now, but there's no reason why we shouldn't consider him as one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think about our top 5 albums list? I know we went very in-depth with this one, but it was a must nonetheless. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Comment on the video below once you post this on YouTube. Hit me up on Twitter at DM_cool and let me know.